Okay, so hi everyone, my name's Drew. Welcome to my basic IT tips and tricks session. A little background on myself. The last few years I have worked in IT here at the Grimsby Institute, but recently I moved into the Innovate department as of today actually. Um, and in my time in IT I had a lot of experience manning what's called the IT help desk. So that's where a lot of people call in with their issues and we're basically first line. So using the information I learn on that help desk, I've managed to create this presentation and I'm hoping that it's got a lot of basic things we can cover just to preempt a lot of those issues. Okay, so what we will cover today, some simple solutions to everyday issues and problems. I want to go over some useful tools to help with common tasks that you'll all find helpful. And I'm hoping you will all leave with some general know-how and feel better prepared moving forwards. Okay, you can all see my screen okay, can't you? Guess so. So what I will cover first, one second, let me just double check this for you. Sorry about that, it might have been recording the wrong one. Let me just start that over. From here, I mean, you've got the basics. But one of the first things you'll get is that I'll cover is how to change the projection mode. This is something that a lot of you will have to have experience with when everyone's back in the classroom again. And this is something that I used to receive a lot of calls about. So say if you're teaching a session and your content isn't displaying properly on both screens, it's usually because it's in extended mode, which is good for certain situations. Say if you want to do something confidential on your computer screen, but not show it to the rest of the class on your projector. So, say if you're doing a register or something like that. But if you just want a more basic duplicated setup so everyone can see the same thing on your screen as they can see on the projector, the best way to do that is just to hold the Windows key and tap P. I'll just do that now. I'll make sure I land on the same screen as the one before. But yeah, there you go. So every time you tap P, it'll go through these selections. So you've got PC screen only, duplicate, you've got extend, and you've got your second screen only. So I'll just let go on extend there. When you do this and you switch it to duplicate, your screen may flicker a bit. It'll kind of flash black a few times just as the computer gets used to its new position. So don't be alarmed if that does happen. This presentation, I am just going to go through. Um, there's a lot of information here, but they're all quite short slides. So don't be too alarmed trying to remember everything. As long as you pick up a couple of these things, it should be helpful. This is just a basic one. For example, if you're trying to access a web page and it won't load, or you're getting the internet can't access this page kind of thing. Some basic steps, so just double check the URL. That's a mistake we all make. I know sometimes you can miss a slash or one of the letters off there. Double check that your Wi-Fi is connected, because I know when you're on site at the college, if you're taking your device between rooms, sometimes it can drop off here and there. So that's always a good one just to check first. And then you can also try clearing your browser cache. And that sounds quite scary, but it's actually quite easy to do. So if you just hold the control key and tap F5, your web browser will flash like it's refreshed. But by doing that key combination, what you've actually done is cleared the local cache on the web page, which is everything that it's ever stored. It'll just clear that for that page. And a lot of the time that does actually sort it. So part two of the same issue. If none of those steps work, you can always try updating your web browser to the latest version. So if you just go online and download Chrome or Edge just to make sure you're running the newest one, or if not, try using an alternative web browser altogether. So we used to do this a lot on the help desk. If someone was having issues with one thing or another, just try a whole different web browser. I mean, we'd usually do that because a lot of people use an Internet Explorer, which is very old now. But yeah, say if you were using Microsoft Edge, try using Google Chrome. And if you're using Google Chrome, try using Microsoft Edge. That does often resolve it. Okay, taking a screenshot, that's another really simple tool that's useful. I'm sure a lot of people have used this before just to even send a screenshot of an issue to IT services, because if you can get the exact error message of what you're suffering with, that's very useful just for IT. They don't have to send you 10 or so emails just nagging you for some more information. If you just hold the Windows key and print screen, that's a good way to do it. I'll just do it now, you'll probably see it. The screen will kind of go dark like that. That's shown that it's taken a screenshot. And any screenshots you do by holding Windows and print screen will actually save into your pictures folder. So I'll just show you that now. If I can get to my desktop. And it'll automatically save it in there for you. So I've got a folder called screenshots here. They're everything that I've taken a screenshot of so far, basically. It just saves you from having to do it the old-fashioned way, which I'm sure everyone's done, when you hit print screen and then you paste it into Paint and you save it from there. I mean, that's something that I've done. So just give me 1 sec. Another way you can do it as well is Windows key, Shift and S. And what that'll do is that'll give you a drag box and you can select any content you'd like to take a screenshot of. So if I do that now, you can see the screen's gone grey, and I've got a little cross here. So I can select whatever I would like to take a screenshot of that way. It's kind of like the snipping tool, but it's a lot easier to get access to. And then this one, we've got the F keys. This is something we've all seen, and obviously we look at them all the time on the keyboard, but there's a few times we use them commonly, but not that commonly. So I've just noted down some of the easy ones just to remember, or that you can have a go with. You'll never use all, I don't know, you'll never use all 12 of them all the time. They're just there's quite a lot of them. But one of the easy ones is F1. That will open the help menu in whatever software you're in, pretty much. So if you're having trouble or you can't find where a button or an option is in some software, just hit F1 and that'll open the help menu. For the F2 key, if you hold Control and F2, that'll open a print preview in Microsoft Word. Alt F4, that'll close any program or window you've got open. So I wouldn't suggest trying that right now because it'll close down Microsoft Teams. F5 is what I used before. That'll start the slideshow, although it did start it from the first page, so I had to skip through. And it also refreshes web pages. So like what we covered earlier with Control and F5, when that flashed, that cleared the cache as well. If you just tap F5, it'll just refresh the web page. It won't do any of the other fancy stuff. For F7, Alt and F7 will start spelling and grammar check in Microsoft Word. So if you want to go through your whole document and find any spelling mistakes or grammar issues, just tap Alt and F7. And F9 will send and receive emails in Outlook. This is something that we used to do a lot on the help desk. with missing emails, or I don't have all my emails available, I must have had one at this time. If you just hit F9, it'll refresh all of your emails sent and received. So that's a really useful one just to try. And then there's Shift F12, which saves a Word document. Just a quick and easy shortcut. So yeah, like I say, you'll never use all of these because there's quite a lot of them, but a couple of these you might find useful just in the everyday use of your machine. Okay, and I'll just head to the discussion and questions. I don't know, I've probably gone over a lot quite quickly, but like I said, you don't have to worry about remembering anything, everything, I mean, just a couple of things. So if anyone has a question or would like to ask anything from what we've seen, if not, that's fine with me. Oh, we'll just continue on then. So I've also got default applications. This is something that can be quite irritating because it'll just pop up over and over again until you've actually set one. So what you've probably had it occur with like PDF files before. So say if you're trying to open a PDF, it'll open a bunch of options, but it will ask you to open it in Internet Explorer or in Edge over and over again, and you want it to open in Adobe. It's like this little snippet that I've got here. You've got this little tick box down at the bottom, tick to always open in zip files. If you tick that and pick your PDF software, like Adobe or whatever, then moving forwards, it'll open using that software every single time. It's also good for web browsers. So if you have a HTML file or something like that, just tick it so it always opens in Chrome or whatever your preferred web browser would be. There's another way to do this, which is through this menu here, this default apps menu. That'll let you change any default apps for any file type. This is something you might need IT to approve depending on how strict your organization is. But I'll just show you how to get to that now. So you see the bar down here? We've got the little search bar here. All you have to do is type in default apps and it'll pop up here. So just run that and you'll see what we've got here. So I can change my default mail program to Outlook, my default music player. Can change that to any of those. And the web browser is the one that's most useful because sometimes you'll always have it on Internet Explorer and it's just very old and outdated now. So if you click on that, click Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, then it'll change back to that every time. Okay. Then we've got a big one, which is trying to avoid saving locally. This is something that would end up getting a lot of calls about. So what the best process would be is to save straight to the cloud. Saving to the cloud, it's safer because the information isn't saved onto your device. So say if you've got some very important documents, you've saved it on your laptop. If your laptop dies or you drop it down the stairs, something like that, you have lost all of that content with the laptop, unless you take the hard drive out and you take it to someone, but that's just a lot of hassle and that's not something you want to deal with after dealing with that. Another benefit to it is your device won't slow down, it won't become full. A lot of the times when you're saving documents on documents on documents, your C drive of your machine will get full to the point where your computer can't really operate anymore. Luckily, there's some easy ways to save to the cloud. For example, if you've got Word open or an Office app, if you go to the File and Save system, like what I've got on here, open, you've got your In File Save As, you've got your OneDrive and you've got your SharePoint, so you can save straight to those. If you're using an Office 365 online, any document you create, that'll automatically be saved to the cloud. So that's an easy way to do it, just straight away. And if you're in our organization, you've all seen stuff like OneDrive Mapper, stuff like that. So you can also do it that way. And what I'll do is I'll just show you one of the easy ways you can save to it. So I've just got a test Word document open here. So if I file, save as, I've got my OneDrive, my Giphy OneDrive, and my SharePoint site. So I can just save it straight to there. Or like I said before, if you're working online on Office 365, that'll just happen straight away. So I'll just have a bit of a drink. Something that happens to all of us is losing a file, whether you've saved it somewhere or Word has crashed halfway through writing I'm sure the longest document of your life. It crashes and your document disappears. You don't know where to find it. There is a few simple steps you can take. So one of the first ones would be to check the recent files in Word. So sometimes if it's caught it just before your computer's crashed, it'll show in recents. So if I just go in here, I know I won't have it because it hasn't happened to me. But if you go File, Open, or even just on Home, in your recents, it'll be in one of these, and it'll be called Auto Recovered. So you'll know that it's actually managed to save it, which is good for if you're lucky. Checking your recycle bin, that's always a good one, because if you have accidentally deleted it or done that, then it'll sit in your recycle bin until you actually empty the recycle bin. So it's always worth checking in there. A more advanced one that you can Google it whenever you need to use it, is checking the autosave location. So similar to how the file will turn up in your recents, they usually end up sitting in this path here, which I'll show you now. I don't expect you to remember it because it is quite a long path. But what you would do is go into your C drive, users, into your user, and then there's a folder called app data. To see this, you might have to turn on view hidden items. But once you've enabled that and you can go in, it's then in, as you can see, not even I remember it because it's quite a long path, in roaming, Microsoft, and you'll have your Word, Excel, everything like this. So if you go into Word, it'll be sat in there as a recovered autosave file. So that's something we used to do. Well, I used to do when I was in IT. Whenever a file was lost, I would look in that file path, and they'd usually be sat in there. Similar to the last thing we talked about, if you accidentally delete a SharePoint file, it can be quite scary because they're shared with basically your whole department. So we've had a few calls about that, like, oh, I've accidentally deleted this file and now the whole department are talking about where this file's gone and everyone's blaming me. But if you do accidentally delete a file on SharePoint, there is actually a recycle bin before you go into staff documents. And I know it might seem quite obvious, but it's very easy to click past it. And a lot of people, when you show them, are like, oh, I never knew that existed. So it's always worth checking in that recycle bin, because once you click on your file, you can recover it and you can get it back. It'll go exactly where it was before. It'll be restored. So again, if anyone's got any questions or anything, you might have to unmute yourselves to say anything, but if not, I'll just keep on going. No, then that's fine. Okay, this one is quite a useful one. It's quite easy as well. When it comes to converting a Word document to a PDF, this is something that's a lot easier to do before you actually save your document, because you can just print it straight out as a PDF. It's good. Saving your file as a PDF is a good way to know that it's not going to be very easily editable, but it can be shared. It'll also save the files as smart PDFs, which means the text can be highlighted and it can be interacted with using Adobe Pro softwares and stuff like that. So I'll just show you how to do that with my test file. So if I just hello, this spell PDF right. This will be a PDF, and if you just go into File, Print. So this is where you'll have all your printers listed. So I've got my organizational printers like the GY Color, GY Mono, and we've got Microsoft Print to PDF. So that'll always be there. You can do this in the other Microsoft Office products as well. So if you just click Microsoft Print to PDF, click Print on there, it'll just ask you to name it and then save it. And you've got yourself a PDF straight away, pretty much, which you can then attach to an email, and you can edit with Adobe Pro, anything like that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so login issues. As you can imagine, when I was in IT, this is something we would get a lot of calls about, would be login issues. At the Grimsby Institute, we do have a system where the accounts actually lock out after so many incorrect login attempts. So it's always worth slowing down and just double checking your spelling. I know it's easy to just try it again, try it again, try it again. But if you can slow down, double check your spelling, check your caps lock, because that's even messed with me on occasion. Even if you open a notepad and just put some gobbledygook in there, just check that your caps lock's on or off. Depending what kind of account it is, you can try resetting your password via your provider. So if you're using Outlook, look for the I've forgotten my password button, and just follow through those stages. They're usually quite simple and easy. But if you're still having problems, just contact your IT team, and they can usually reset it in a few minutes over the phone. Okay, so next we'll talk about keeping your apps up to date. Um, this is something you can do depending on the amount of control that your organization has over your device, but it's even something that's good to do on a personal device. So checking your software is up to date. It can preempt a lot of issues, because obviously they've already patched things out, and there are a few ways to do this. Most programs, if you just click on File, they'll have a Help or an About section, which will give you the version of the program you're using. And sometimes they'll even have an option just to hit update, and it'll pull the latest versions of anything from the internet. A simple way to do this with pretty much all Microsoft products is to run Windows updates. So I'll just show you through that now. This is another thing that depends how locked down your computer is, because you may need IT's assistant just to get it done. But like before, if you just search in the search bar Windows or Windows Update, you'll get your Windows Update settings. So if you load that up, there's a check for updates button. As you can see, mine's saying you're up to date. It was last checked yesterday. But all you'd have to do is click check for updates. This won't pull in updates for every single application, but it will do it for all of your Microsoft ones and anything else. It'll also pull in updates for hardware. So if you've plugged in a webcam or if you've plugged in a keyboard or a mouse and it's not working, it's always worth doing this. It'll keep your antivirus up to date as well, which is always good. But yeah, that's just a quick and easy one. The accessibility features. This one's useful for if anyone is visually impaired or if anyone has a disability. Going through the accessibility features is really useful. In Windows, it's called ease of access, which you can get to from that search bar. How we typed in Windows Update, if you just type in ease of access, that menu will show up and you can just click on that and it will bring you into here. So I've taken some snippets of it. So you've got your in the vision section, you've got display. That'll let you change the font size and readability of any text. So if you're visually impaired or have trouble reading smaller text, you can just whack that right up and make it a lot easier. Same with the mouse pointers section. You can make your mouse bigger and smaller. So, because I know losing your mouse is something that's easy to do when you've got a lot of windows open. It happens to me sometimes. Um, Same with the text cursor. You can make it larger and easier to see. There's the magnifier tool, which is really useful because what that'll do is it'll create a box in Windows, and anything you put inside that box will be magnified to be much larger than it is by default. And that's just another thing that will help you read a lot of small text and stuff like that. And then there's the color filter section. This is very useful for people with dyslexia or those who suffer from visual stress. So I know there are applications that do that already, but this one's in Windows and it'll let you tint the whole screen. So it can tint it amber, yellow, whatever color helps you read easier. You can do that from there. Same with high contrast. That's a similar setting, but that'll just block windows into kind of black and white chunks. I know a lot of people turn that on by accident. But yeah, it is accessible through this ease of access menu. And the narrator, that'll help anyone that has vision issues as well, because it'll just read out everything that's on the screen. So if I had this open, um, Windows would be reading it all out to you. So we've got the hearing section of the ease of access. And we've got the audio section. Obviously, that'll do your basic stuff like increase and decrease your volume, but can also add audio cues for visual pop-ups. So if a program has popped a window up behind something else and you didn't see it, you can have an audio cue, so at least that'll tell you when it's there. Closed caption is like similar to the narrator, but what it'll do is it'll display all the audio as text instead of reading the text as audio. So it's like subtitles for Windows, which can be useful. Speech recognition, that's good for people with dyslexia and stuff like that as well. Like it's like the Dragon software. So when you talk into it, it will convert everything you're saying into text. And I know Word and stuff like that does have that built in now. So it's just another useful section you can change the settings for. Keyboard, you can add cues to key presses. So if you've accidentally hit unlock or caps lock, it can play a sound just so you know you've done that. Then the mouse, that you can change it so you can control the mouse with some keys instead of having to use the mouse by hand. Eye control, this is if you've got a compatible eye tracking device, you can actually move your mouse cursor around the screen without having to use any hardware. All of these settings can be pinned to the start menu, which I'll just show you now. It's actually quite easy. So if I just bring up the ease of access. I'll just go into this setting here. So we've got all the ease of access stuff here, and it's all down the left. So if anyone wanted to use any of this stuff like the magnifier, you can actually just right click on it, pin it to start. It might ask you if you just click yes on here. So it won't pin it to this bar down here, it'll pin it to the start menu here. But as you can see, I've got magnifier on there now. I tested it with speech earlier, so that's why that's there. But it just makes them really easy to access. And similar to sticking stuff on that start menu that we just showed you, I can also just show you how to pin programs to the taskbar. It's very simple, and it's one of those things that you'll either know or you won't. If you just right click on a program while it's running, that's usually the easiest way to do it. You can click pin to taskbar and it'll forever be in that bar down there. So say, you can also unpin it as well. So I'll unpin Chrome just for demonstration. I've got to close it first. So Chrome's gone now. If I bring it up, so I'll just type in Chrome. You can do it from here as well. So you can pin it to taskbar, or you can run your program and it'll pop up, and you can right click and pin it to the taskbar from there. So then even if I close Chrome, so I'll just close it now, it's stuck there. I know this is probably be quite seen as basic, but it is really useful and some people aren't aware of it. So you can customize your taskbar and pin whatever you'd like down there. Okay, next we'll talk about adding, removing and repairing apps. This is one of those things that you might need IT support for, depending on how locked down your device is. I know at the Grimsby Institute, you might not be able to get into all of this, but I think you can access most of it. Oh, let me just go back one, sorry. So I'll just show you how to get to that. So if you get into your search bar here and just type in apps and features, or even just the start of the word, it'll auto fill and find the rest. So we have all of the apps that are installed on this machine just listed down here. And from here you can uninstall applications if you really need to. You can also modify them, which will let you repair it. So if I just find Office 365 down here, if I click on that and I click modify, right, here we go. So how would you like to repair your Office programs? You can do this with a lot of different programs from this menu, but if you have an issue that you're really struggling with, if you do this, you can actually just run a repair on it, and it'll check over the installation and make sure it's all okay. And you can do it with all kinds of applications. Some of them it won't let you, like Microsoft Edge, it'll be grayed out. And so if there's any problems with stuff like that, it'll be worth getting in touch with your IT team over trying to sort it out yourself. I'll just have a bit of a drink, sorry. Okay. Does anyone have any questions from what we've covered? Any issues that they've maybe encountered? If not, that's fine. That's the end of this session. Thanks to everyone for attending.